Welcome to Drunk Bible Study. This show's mission is to read every single word of the greatest story ever told. A warning to our listeners, the hosts of this show are sinners, but they're doing their best. There will be drinking and there may be some swears. They did say they'd try to keep it clean, but I wouldn't put my money on it.
I made a memory about your dad. He's in a book. Whoa, whoa. He has a history of skimming past all the pages of ageless confessional shit.
I'm Emily, and this is Drunk Bible Study, where my good friends Dedeker and Jace teach me, a born and raised atheist, all about the Bible. So, Jace and Dedeker, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great. Can you believe that we are almost 100% of the way through Exodus?
No, I cannot.
We are about to Exodus out of Exodus,
Oh,
y'all.
Good,
shit.
good
Yes,
one.
On
good
so
one.
many levels,
Good
it's
one.
happening.
Yeah.
If I recall from my childhood, the book of Exodus lasted forever.
Yeah,
But now it's like we breezed
It
through
did.
it.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
okay,
I got
okay.
really confused, but in my brain, I was thinking you were trying to make a joke about, like, in my childhood, back when we started reading Exodus.
also true.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you there. I remember
Yeah.
I used to have, I think it was called just something generic like the Picture Bible or something like that, but it came out in like the 50s and it was the Bible, but like comic book style, like
Yeah,
Golden Age.
yeah.
And there's been many iterations of that since then, but it was kind of like the original, the style was very much Golden Age of comics. And I remember that the story of Moses and the story of Exodus was one that I came back to like time and time and time again because it was my favorite one.
There's
Oh,
some pretty
really?
epic things that
Yeah.
happen.
Yes, very epic
Yeah.
things. Very
Huh.
exciting for a biblical comic book artist, I'd imagine. But before we dive into that, Jace?
No, I was just going to say that it reminds me of at Comic-Con last summer, I guess, there was a booth that was all like graphic novel style biblical books.
Oh, yeah.
That I
Right.
stopped and I talked to the people there a little bit and talked to one of the guys who's one of the artists and authors on these. And there was one particular series that it wasn't like one of those ones that's the whole Bible as a graphic novel. They also had those there. But there was these series where they would do just sort of like different stories from the Bible. But what I thought was really cool about it is that the art and the artists doing it were people of color. And I was like,
Oh.
that's
Oh, that's
cool that you're
awesome.
telling Bible stories where it's not all white people, which is the
Yeah.
Yeah,
images
because I can definitely
had
attest
as a
that
kid, right?
my childhood picture Bible was definitely all white people for sure.
Yeah.
No, it was the 50s. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's unfortunate.
Back in your childhood
Probably
in the
true.
50s, yeah.
Still though, even today, like so many pictures, like people's
Oh, yeah.
artistic renditions of things happening in the Bible tends to lean pretty heavily in the white direction.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
well,
true.
at least in this country of the US of A.
Correct.
Yeah.
So what happened last time we all gathered together here?
A lot of recapping.
Uh-huh.
Recapping of things like how stuff was going to be made. And that was essentially it. And they talked again, like, oh, and didn't he remake the 10 Commandments on a new stone?
Good one, yeah.
Yeah. And then, yeah, so it was like deja vu. The whole chapters that we read were just deja vu.
We learned about the Asherim, which we talked about a little bit more in our bonus content.
Yeah.
Which was the lady,
the lady god.
the goddess.
Yeah.
Lady
It
god
was
that
maybe
was-
God's wifey.
Yeah, maybe Yahweh's boo, bae, wife, ball and
Like-
chain.
like wife number one.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe
Starter
one of many
wife?
wives. She may have actually been married to both Yahweh and Baal, which is absurd.
Yeah, if
Wow.
everyone is feeling lost and you want to understand what's going on, we talked about this in our bonus content for the last episode, which we have on our Patreon page if you want to join there. But anyway, that's that. So today we are continuing on here with Exodus 36, 37, and 38. And then next time we're going to read the last 3 chapters, and then
Wow.
the last 2 chapters, right?
2,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Doesn't it end
Yeah,
at
we
40?
end up. Yep.
It ends at 40.
Yeah,
so there's
that's
2,
incredible.
2 chapters
Wow.
next week, and then
And
that's
then
it.
that's it.
And then
It's incredible.
we're exodusing this ish.
Popsicle
Chat.
stand.
Yes. Popsicle stand.
Exodusing this popsicle stand. Well done. Yes. All right. So what are we drinking today?
Well, I'm trying something new. I'm drinking a beer from Kirin, the Japanese beer brand, called the Grand Kirin JPL, which is a Japan pale ale, different from
Hmm.
your what
Oh.
have you
India.
India pale ales and what have you normal pale ales.
Are you sure it's not a Japanese pale lager?
Does it say a
Yes.
JPA?
It's a JPL, not a
Oh,
JPA.
ha.
It is the Jet Propulsion Laboratory.
That's what I
Not-
was wondering. Okay.
Okay. Yes, it's a Japan pale lager, which is probably explains why I enjoy it more than an IPA would.
Yeah, if it were
Probably
an
does.
IPA, it
Yeah.
would be really hoppy, presumably.
Probably
I
too
don't know
hoppy
what-
for me, but it's really nice. It's very crisp. It's very light for a lager. I'm really enjoying it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm enjoying some bullet bourbon here because I'm
course.
in America,
Tips.
and that's what we do here. No, yeah, I'm enjoying some bullet bourbon, and it's delicious. I also have some nuts here, some like drinking snacks, because that's a thing I
Ooh,
haven't done
Got a
before.
whole setup.
Yeah,
Got
so
a
I'm
whole
pretty
setup.
excited about that.
Well, I am drinking Prophecy Pinot Noir. It's like
Oh.
a kind of newish red wine brand. Well, no, they probably have white wine too, but it's called Prophecy, which I thought was kind of maybe biblical. I don't know.
Oh,
Are there
yeah.
prophecies in the Bible? Kind
Oh
of.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's some major prophecies that happen in Isaiah. There's the
Oh.
whole books of the prophets. There's like
Oh,
20 gazillion prophets, and we learn all their stories. So yeah, that's very biblical, very on brand.
We have had some prophecies already, though. Remember when,
Yeah.
toward the end of Genesis, when Israel, also known as Jacob, was like, "You, son, are
and
gonna
sons.
be the mountain lion who devours other mountain lions, and then you, son, are gonna be the serpent who bites soldiers as they walk by, and
Right,
your people will
Right.
number the earth, and you will toil under your brothers," and like all that sort of stuff. Like, yeah, so we've had
Oh,
some
yeah.
There was a
prophecies.
lot of
Yeah.
prophecies.
Yeah.
Many prophecies.
I'm glad you got
Okay,
what I was
well,
going
then
for.
yes.
I was randomly naming animals.
Yeah, no, that's essentially why I got this wine, obviously. But yes, it's all right. It's a wine. Not the best, but not the worst that I've
Jeez.
ever
Okay,
had.
at least you're honest. Give you
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
the
I
wine
am.
is like a prophecy. It's like you will have better wine someday.
that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I hope so. I hope to. All right.
Oh boy. All right. As we get into our reading today, we want to remind everybody to read responsibly and drink responsibly.
And you can drink along with us, or you can listen to us while you're in the car.
But please do not do both at the same time.
And with that, we're going to get into Exodus 36. Bezalel and Aholiab shall work with every wise-hearted man in whom Yahweh has put wisdom and understanding to know how to work all the work for the service of the sanctuary. Who will know how to work all the work.
You also put an extra Z in Bezalel. You were like
Bezalel.
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 Because clearly
Yes.
Jace does not know how to work all the work for this podcast.
God has not granted me the wisdom and understanding to know how to work all the work of the Bible. Who wisdom and understanding to know how to work all the work for the service of the sanctuary according to all that Yahweh has commanded. Moses called Bezalel and Aholiab and every wise-hearted man. whose
Moses
name-
is like, okay, y'all, I'm sorry to break this news to you, but Yahweh seems to want you to be responsible for following these IKEA instructions.
Yeah.
Mm,
I like it too that it's like he called Bezalel and Aholiab and every wise-hearted man who shall remain nameless for this book,
yeah. Doesn't matter.
in whose heart Yahweh had put wisdom, even everyone whose heart stirred him up to come to the work to do it. Sorry, I'm having a really hard time with these sentences. Even everyone whose heart stirred him up to come to the work to do it. So I guess, and also a bunch of other people who just wanted to
Yeah.
volunteer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they received from Moses all the offering which the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service of the sanctuary with which to make it. Right, all the gold and blue and purple and whatever. They brought yet to him free will offerings every morning. Just like like payment.
I guess separate
kinda?
separate
I
from
wonder what that
separate from the
means
forced
exactly.
from the forced offerings, I suppose.
Oh yeah, okay.
Free
I
will.
see.
He makes these specific requests, but then these are just like kind of nice little extra bonuses, little extra tidbits they're offering to Yahweh
Got
every
it.
morning.
Cool.
Okay.
All the wise men who performed all the work of the sanctuary each came from his work which they did. What is? Am I already drunk, or does this not make any like grammatical sense?
No, I mean, I don't know.
It's definitely akin to like walking on a hike through the woods barefoot and like kind of dodging pokey leaves and stones, but trying to get where you're going. That's what it feels like going through this
Okay.
particular translation sometimes.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
assuming maybe he'll give us some more understanding as it goes on, but
Yeah.
but maybe not. So let's keep going, I guess.
God will give us the wisdom and understanding
I hope
Hopefully.
so.
of
But
this translation.
no guarantees.
They spoke to Moses, saying, "The people bring much more than enough for the service of the work which Yahweh commanded to make." Moses gave commandment, and they caused it to be proclaimed throughout the camp, saying, "Let neither man nor woman make anything else for the offering for the sanctuary." So the people were restrained from bringing. I
I
see.
mean, that happens
What?
sometimes.
From bringing what?
Like people
From
just
anything
wanted
else.
to keep giving their stuff for this, and he's like, "Please stop
Oh.
bringing your stuff."
It's kind of like,
Okay.
humanitarian like crisis situations where they eventually have to be like, please stop sending your old clothes. We don't need any more old clothes. Please. It's just
Ah.
adding another burden to us to have to take care of. Please stop sending it. It's
Interesting.
kind of like that.
Yeah. Okay. For the stuff they had was sufficient for all the work to make it, and too much.
Okay. Sufficient and also too much.
Yeah.
Yes. All the wise-hearted men among those who did the work made the tent with 10 curtains of fine twined linen, blue, purple, and scarlet, with cherubim. The work of the skillful workmen, they made them.
What is cherubim?
I think this is probably the fourth time you've asked about what cherubim
Yeah.
is. But to be fair, we have been
I?
drinking each
I
time
don't
we've
recall
explained
ever
it
asking.
because we've been drinking each time we've had this conversation. Our listeners
it.
who are sober are like, oh my goodness, how many
I
times?
hope that they're not sober.
Yeah, I hope they're not either.
Maybe they're also like, I don't remember cherubim.
Yeah, I hope so. This is why God is, repeating himself so many times.
'Cause he
knows
Because
you're
someone out there
drinking.
is like, what is cherubim? What
It's
are
a
these
kind of-
directions?
It's a variety of angel.
Oh, like a small cherub.
Oh, this is literally the way the conversation goes
Yeah,
every single
I'm having
time.
a weird deja vu right now.
Are you?
Yes.
Before. I'm sorry. It is
our
10,
cultural understanding of
25
what.
at night, and I have had multiple glasses of wine.
Okay, our
Here we
cultural
are.
understanding of what cherubim are the little like tiny pudgy babies in diapers that have wings, but actually cherubim were probably much more terrifying and generally much more terrifying in their depictions of like angels with like 6 sets of wings and like multiple faces and stuff like that.
Like Guillermo del Toro. I do remember saying that before.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
From
let's
which-
move along.
Which
Keep
movie
going,
was
keep
that?
going.
Which movie
It
was that?
was
Like
shit.
the Calling, the didn't have a name
No.
like that.
This
The
is
one with
great
the little girl.
radio.
Yeah,
I'll
right.
look it
The
up.
little girl. This is
Pan's Labyrinth?
That's the one. Thank you, Dedeker.
There were not cherubim in Pan's Labyrinth, were
Yes,
there?
but kind of that thing with the face and the multiple eyes on
But
the
that's
hands.
that is okay. That was like the longest stretch I've ever heard in my life. Can we please keep reading the Bible?
Wow,
Yes.
you need to get out more if that was the
Yes.
longest stretch. Okay, and they made them. The length of each curtain was 28 cubits, and the breadth
Oh my
of each
goodness.
curtain 4 cubits. All
We're
the
doing
curtains
this
had one
again.
measure,
See, we really weren't missing much, Dedeker. Come on.
because God knows we
We're
were
doing
drunk
this
last
again.
time and is punishing us for it.
That makes so much sense.
He coupled 5 curtains to one another, and the other 5 curtains he coupled one to another. Okay, I've got a challenge here, because I'm pretty sure what's happening here is we're going to recap everything that we read a few chapters
Mhm.
ago.
Wait, didn't we read this last chapter?
Right, so that was like the short recap, and now this is the long recap, because
Okay.
based on our glassed over eyes last time, God was like, I don't think you got it. Let's be sure we
You gotta know it
cover
again.
this again. Yeah. Okay, so in the spirit of a drinking game, we're going to do a waterfall. So basically you start drinking now and you can't stop drinking until we finish the recap. Ready? Here we go.
Jace,
I'm going to try to be fast. Here we go. Right. He made loops.
I'm gonna run out of wine.
He made loops of blue
Pace yourself.
on the edge of the one curtain from the edge in the coupling. Likewise, he made in the edge of the curtain that was outmost in the second coupling. He made 50 loops in the one curtain, and he made 50 loops in the edge of the curtain that was in the second coupling.
Jace, I'm going to vomit as soon as this chapter is done. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm not in college anymore. The last time I did a waterfall was college.
I'm not 21.
And I was 21 and could handle these things, and I cannot now. I'm sorry. I love your spirit of playfulness and wanting there to be a drinking game to this, but it's got to be a different drinking game than just waterfalling till the end of this recap is done.
10 years later, no.
Yeah, I still had a lot left to go.
Let's just
keep
truck
going.
through.
Okay.
Let's just truck through.
The loops were opposite one to another. He made 50 clasps of gold and coupled the curtains one to another with the clasps, so the tent was a unit.
Okay, great. Love it. Tent's a unit. Love it.
He made curtains of goat's hair for a covering over the tent. He made them
And so the tent won't get cold because the tent's a total unit and needs to not be cold.
It's what do they call it now? Those kids? What did they say? An absolute unit. That's the thing.
Yes, that is what
they
those
call
kids
things
say.
absolute units now.
I've never heard this. Am I too old?
What?
Am I
really?
old?
Usually
What if you
I
are
see it in
too old?
reference. Yeah, I usually see it in reference to like a fat pug or something.
Yeah, I saw it in reference to Punxsutawney Phil. Somebody called him an Punxsutawney unit.
An absolute
unit. Yeah.
Yes.
Meaning,
That's the one.
meaning
Absolute.
cute.
I don't
I think
know.
it's
I
like
really have no
stocky.
idea.
My impression is like stocky and kind of pudgy.
Okay.
My cat Henry is an absolute unit.
Yeah, Henry's
Okay.
definitely a unit. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to go with it. I feel like I'm being punked here. He made them 11 curtains. The length of each curtain was, you guessed it, 30 cubits, and 4 cubits the breadth of each curtain. The 11 curtains had one measure. I expect everyone
Only
at home
one.
is repeating this along with me because they remember because they took such good notes the first time around.
Because they were
Right.
not drunk.
Yeah.
Yep.
Get drunk.
He coupled 5 curtains by themselves and 6 curtains by themselves. He made 50 loops on the edge of the curtain that was outmost in the coupling, and he made 50 loops on the edge of the curtain which was outmost in the second coupling. He made 50 clasps of brass to couple the tent together that it might be a unit.
That it might be an absolute unit.
An absolute unit. He made a covering for the tent of ram skins dyed red and a covering of sea cow hides above. He made every time, Emily.
Why are you sad about the sea cows, but you don't get the same little about the rams?
I love all animals and I am not speciesist. Thank you very much. But sea cows have always held a special place in my heart. They're
Why is
so
that?
because they're just gentle and loving and adorable.
Okay, that's a good example. A sea cow is definitely an example of an absolute unit.
Yes.
It's like big and like
yes.
kind of globular and like pudgy, but like also cute. It's a little bit
Ugh.
endearing at the same time. Yeah.
Incredibly endearing.
All right, as soon as we're done,
I agree.
I'm Urban Dictionarying this. Okay.
Oh,
All
you
right.
should.
He made the boards for the tent of what kind of wood?
Acacia
Balsa.
wood.
Oh.
Balsa wood. They wanted it to be lightweight for moving it, so they did it out of balsa
You want to
wood.
throw it through the air
Yeah.
like a
Oh, that would be so
Little
convenient,
airplane.
though. They make it
Yeah.
into
Yeah,
one of
like
those little
an
balsa wood
airplane.
flyers, and then
Yeah.
they're like, we just send it to the next location, and wherever it lands, that's where we go. That's how Yahweh guides us.
All right. Emily is already failing
Keep
her
going.
Exodus final. Okay. He made the boards for the tent of acacia wood standing up. 10 cubits was the length of a board, and a cubit and a half the breadth of each board. Each board had 2 tenons joined one to another. He made all the boards of the tent this way. He made what,
Great.
Emily? What? Okay, you're just exasperated. Okay.
No, I'm just like tenons sounds like tendons and it was gross.
Remember we talked about
it's
tenons.
a joinery. Yes, a joinery, a carpentry
A
term.
joinery.
remember.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's where you like
Okay.
cut a notch into another. It's like IKEA furniture where there's like a notch cut in that they fit into.
Oh, I know
Yeah.
what those notches are on IKEA furniture. That
Yeah.
I can relate to.
It's
Yeah.
sort of like the good carpenter version of that. Okay. He made the boards for the tent. 20 boards for the south side southward.
Oh,
Whoa.
good.
How big is this tent? Good Lord.
It's pretty large. It's
It's
got to be
gotta be
large and in charge.
gigantic.
It's got to be worthy of the term absolute unit. It's
It
got to
has
be.
to be.
It's got to be the biggest tent they got, right? It's got to be the
Oh, yeah,
biggest
right?
space that they would assemble. Like,
I suppose you're
right?
right.
They couldn't
Yeah.
assemble another space bigger. They wouldn't really have any reason to, right?
It's got to be. Yeah,
I
the problem
guess.
is, Emily, now you've asked me how big this tent is, and I want to like go back, look through this, and like add up all the cubits and then tell you exactly. But
We'll do it on a bonus episode, okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll do all the
Just-
math.
Just let's keep going.
But gosh, oh, the south side southward, yes. He made 40 sockets of silver under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under one board for its 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for its 2 tenons. For the second side of the tent, on the north side, he made 20 boards, and their 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board and 2 sockets under another board.
Just a quick question. Do you think this is the part of the Bible where people who are very ambitious about reading through the whole Bible, do you think this is where they get lost? Is there anything before this?
where they give
I mean,
up.
there was like
They
the
probably
genealogies.
Skim it. They
But, I mean,
skim it.
But I feel like the
Maybe, yeah.
genealogies we could still get through because the genealogies rarely lasted longer than a chapter. But where we're
Yeah.
here and it's like multiple chapters of recap, do you think this is the part where people are like,
They're like,
I
yeah,
can just
I
go
read
to
it.
church?
I read it once. I didn't need to read it 3 other times, so I read the whole
Right.
Bible. No problem.
Yeah, they get discouraged and they stop. I don't know. I wonder.
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay,
We'll
so
have to
we've
ask
we've
someone.
done the south side southward, and we've also done the north side. Now, for the far part of the tent westward, he made 6 boards. He made 2 boards for the corners of the tent in the far part. They were double beneath, and in like manner were they all the way up to the top of it to one ring. He did thus to
The
both
one
of
ring.
them in the 2 corners.
I have no idea what that was just describing. It sounds
Trust
cool,
me,
maybe.
this whole
but...
thing, I'm just like, whew.
Yeah, they were all the way to the top of it one ring. Thus he did to both of them in the 2 corners.
I do see the end of the chapter approaching, though, and so that is keeping me motivated to pay attention.
Okay, keep with me here. There were 8 boards, and their sockets of silver, 16 sockets, which, as we remember, 2 per board, 16, 8, got it. Under every board, 2 sockets. He made bars of what kind of wood?
Balsa.
Balsa
Acacia.
acacia wood. 5 for the boards of the one side of the tent, and 5 bars for the boards of the other side of the tent, and 5 bars for the boards of the tent for the hinder part westward. I don't know
The
what
hinder part.
the hinder.
Like in the hinterlands?
Oh yeah. What does hinder mean? I'm looking it up. Hinder,
Like the backside?
to create difficulties for someone. No, that's a different type of hinder. That's not what we're looking
Huh.
for.
The hinder part. Look up the hinder part.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Especially of a body part means rear or hind.
Yeah.
Oh, she was right.
The hinder
The
end
rear.
of its body.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, hey,
Yeah,
babe,
yeah.
like the hinder end of your body is looking real good today.
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
Was that a
You would.
yeah? That gotcha. That was good. Okay.
No, it really didn't. It more got me with like a sense of revulsion than anything, but that's okay.
Okay. All right. All right.
I don't want it ever to be referred as my hinder part.
He made the middle bar to pass through in the midst of the boards from the one end to the other. He overlaid the boards with gold and made their rings of gold for places for the bars and overlaid the bars with gold. He made the veil of blue, purple, scarlet, and fine twined linen with cherubim. He made it the work of a skillful workman. He made 4 pillars of acacia wood, Emily, and overlaid them with gold. Their hooks were of gold. He cast 4 sockets of silver. Oh, okay. There's some random silver in there. He made a screen for the door of the tent of blue, purple, scarlet, and fine twined linen, the work of an embroiderer, and the 5 pillars of it with their hooks. He overlaid their capitals and their fillets with gold, and their 5 sockets were of brass.
Okay.
Whoa.
Damn.
I did it.
So here's the thing. This next chapter, Emily, it's more
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 of the
recap.
same. I see
so,
that. Yes.
Okay, I want to just get through this as fast as possible, but before we do that, I just have a question. It's like, what's the purpose of this being the 3rd time? Like, really, the practical purpose. Was it that it's like we had to make 3 copies, one copy that's like the master copy, another copy that's like the short recap, and then another copy that we're going to send with the workmen to be able to reference and be able, they can get dust on it and fingerprints and like
God's
their,
just being
their
thorough.
sandwiches on it. Like, Is that the reason of there being 3 copies of these
No, I mean,
instructions?
what that freaking thing said earlier that I read last week, it said that, like, this is the place where people are talking about their sins and
Mhm.
atoning for them. So I
You
think
mean
that
It's a big
that's...
sanctuary.
Yes.
It's a big deal. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a big deal.
I mean,
Let me throw
I can
at you
respect
another
that.
theory. I'm going to throw another theory.
Please.
That the scribes who were eventually writing this down
Mm-hmm.
didn't coordinate very well with each other because they didn't like keep track of their spreadsheets of who was doing what.
But that's implying that multiple people wrote just this chapter.
It's possible.
No, I'm saying multiple people. Yeah. No, absolutely. We talked with J.D. Meckelkey about Genesis being almost certainly written by at least 2 writers.
Okay.
Or was it Job that was written by at least 2 writers? I think multiple of these are, and that's maybe one person, say even one person did write it. Scribes later transcribing it. What I'm saying is they got mixed up and 3 of them ended up either translating or scribing the same part, and they each did it a little bit different. And then when they all turned their pages in, someone was like, how do we work this in? So they wrote in a little extra to kind of segue between them. And that's how.
Okay, so they were like, how do we
I'll
work
take
this
your
in?
word for it.
They were not like, we're going to take these 2 extra copies and put them straight in the garbage.
Well, because they translated them a little different each. And the person was like, I guess this must just be more, because they're all a little different from each other.
That's true.
So there's my
I guess...
logistical theory.
Yeah, okay. We'll see. I don't know. Anyways, here's Exodus 37. We're getting close, guys. Let's just keep on trucking. Bezalel made the ark of acacia wood. Its length was 2.5 cubits, and its breadth 1.5 cubits, and 1.5 cubits its height. He overlaid it with pure gold inside and outside, and made a molding of gold for it round about. Made a molding of gold for it round about. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
He cast 4 rings of gold for it in its 4 feet. Its little feet. And even 2 rings on one side and 2 rings on the other side. He made poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold.
How, I'm going
Yes?
to interrupt again. How long do you
Please.
think this whole process is taking?
A long damn
Long
time.
time, yeah.
Doesn't it take a while to
hang
make
on.
golden things?
Either it's
Presumably.
taking a long damn time, or they have so many wise-hearted men that it takes no time because they're just on top of it.
That's
I'm
true.
assuming all this gold isn't just like jumping out of the fire like the calf did.
Right.
I'm assuming.
Well, I'm assuming they're not having to like go out into the mountains and like mine this gold and refine it. I'm assuming that
Oh,
it's
no,
like
of
the
course
gold
not.
people
Yeah.
brought with them, their jewelry, probably recycling that calf, I'm sure, maybe.
Definitely.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, well,
We're
because they
recycling
had
the calf.
sufficient offerings and more than enough. So.
Okay, yeah. So it's just
That's
about
true, that's
melting
true.
down the stuff that they got.
But
yeah, they
this,
just have to melt it and mold it.
Hmm.
this is saying like Bezalel made the blah blah blah, but we did mention all these other wise-hearted men and volunteers and stuff. So it's probably he's sort of overseeing the work and maybe doing the like.
Yeah, he's
technical
probably
parts
chilling
of
in a
it.
tent, like having a beer and just like,
You're
yeah,
probably
that
absolutely
looks
right.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
All
good.
right.
It's good. No problem.
No problem. Yeah.
Okay, he made poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold. He put the poles into the rings on the side of the ark to bear the ark. He made a mercy seat
Oh,
of
that
pure
mercy
gold.
seat's back again.
There it is.
Yeah.
It's back. It's showing its face again. Its length was 2.5 cubits, and 1.5 cubits its breadth. He made 2 cherubim of gold. Of course, you gotta have those cherubim.
Yeah.
He made them of beaten work. Them at the 2 ends of the mercy seat. Am I reading this correctly?
You're reading
Yeah,
it
this is-
correctly.
Same problem I had earlier. I'm like, am I drunk? What's happening?
At the 2 ends of the mercy seat, 1 cherub at the one end and 1 cherub at the other end. He made the cherubim of one piece with the mercy seat at its 2 ends. The cherubim spread out their wings on high, covering the mercy seat with their wings, with their faces toward one another. Wow, this really does look like the Ark of the Covenant.
Right?
Because I guess
Mhm.
because it is. But they did a
Yes.
good job in Indiana Jones, I'll say.
Yeah.
I just rewatched all of them.
Oh, okay,
oh
got
boy,
it.
they're good.
Nice.
They're a good time.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. The faces of the cherubim were toward the mercy seat. He made the table of acacia wood. Its length was 2 cubits, and its breadth was a cubit, and its height was a cubit and a half. He overlaid it with pure gold and made a gold molding around it. He made a border of a hand breadth around it and made a golden molding on its border around it.
Uh-huh.
Fuck.
Okay, yeah, the border of a hand breadth and the molding. Okay, yeah, got it. I remember all this anyway.
Do you? Could you like draw it from memory?
You remember all of this?
Could you create the Ark of the Covenant?
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 You know what? This would actually be a great challenge. Maybe we should.
You might be able to make the
And
Ark
the
of the
Raiders
Covenant,
of the
but not
Lost
the
Ark.
Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, yeah.
I do like the idea that, like, okay, once we finish reading Exodus, that everyone, like, don't refer to any guides, don't look at any pictures, and just from memory try to draw,
Yeah,
include
I'm gonna make the
dimensions as much as
worst
possible.
Do we need
I
to
think
draw it to
this-
scale? Do we need like? I mean,
Yeah,
do I
yeah.
have to get out my freaking drafting table and
Yes.
tools?
Yeah.
do y'all know how to draft?
I've never drafted in my life. Are you kidding me?
All right. Well, I don't know. Maybe it was like a hidden skill you had.
My hidden temple drafting skills.
Yes.
Oh, you know what? Even better. Let's get some, like, Play-Doh or clay or something and try to scale make a
Okay.
little.
So it'll
Yeah,
be just
okay.
like it's like a weird biblical cranium game.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
good. Where
Alright.
there's only one event in this game of Cranium, and it's make the Ark of the Covenant.
In Play-Doh.
And then a separate game will be with popsicle sticks making the tent.
Oh yeah, popsicle sticks and some tissues.
Yes. I like this game
So
a
basically, we're back in like
lot. Uh-huh.
we're like in 2nd or 3rd grade.
Exactly. It'll be
Yeah.
great.
This sounds awesome.
I'm assuming you all did this in Bible study group.
No.
Like building the temple or like making little projects. Oh, we
Sure.
definitely did. I
We
mean,
made
in Sunday
projects
school
for sure.
especially.
But we
I'm trying to
definitely
think.
did
Not
not build
specifically the
scale
temple.
models of the temple, although
Yeah, we
I
didn't.
mean, as cool as that would be.
I probably would have thought that was cool, actually.
I do remember that my favorite year in Sunday school was my 3rd grade year, and we had a craft project every single week, and that's what I loved. Like we made
Mm.
literally like made something every single week. And actually, I think for Exodus, in reference to God being both the pillar of fire and the pillar of cloud, the craft was like you cut out like a little cloud shape out of paper, and then you like glued some cotton to it, and then you glued a match to it, and to represent the fire. And I remember even as a child being like, this seems suspect. Like you're gluing some very flammable things to a match and letting children take it with them.
Wow.
And then what? When you got home, were you supposed to light the match and then watch your whole project burn to the ground?
I mean, I guess you could.
That would have been cool.
That
I
would have been
didn't.
tempting, yeah.
Anyway, that was the extent of my building projects. I did not build a little like shoebox version of the Ark of the Covenant
All
or
right.
the temple.
Well, I'm very interested to hear more of that, but for the sake of time, I think I'm going to move on. Okay, so he cast 4 rings of gold for it and put the rings in the 4 corners that were on its 4 feet. The rings were close by the border, the places for the poles to carry the table. He made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold to carry the table. He made the vessels which were on the table, its dishes. There are dishes now?
Yeah, because
The dishes-
there's like the sacrificial foods and bread, you know, the daily bread and stuff, the show bread that needs to be put out there. It needs to have a dish to put it on. You're not just gonna put it straight on the altar
thought
like
that
a
you might.
barbarian.
I
Come
thought
on,
that
Emily.
you would. I didn't know that you would put it in dishes. It's just going to be sacrificed anyways. They're like killing these animals all over this stuff.
They gotta limit like the number of crumbs and stuff that you have to brush off the Ark of the Covenant. You know how
Okay,
it goes.
But blood is fine. Blood everywhere, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay,
You know.
that makes a lot of sense. Anyways, so it's dishes, it's spoons, it's bowls, and it's pitchers with which to pour out of pure gold, of course. Everything, pure
Mhm.
gold. He made the lampstand of pure gold. This random
Oh,
lampstand.
no, so this is the lampstand that we learned is like the shape of a menorah that they're
Oh.
describing. Yes.
Yeah, I guess this is maybe the first menorah.
Yeah, seems that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he made the lampstand of beaten work. Its base, its shaft, its cups, its buds, and its flowers were of one piece with it.
It was the dankest lampstand
Oh my
anyone had ever seen.
Shit.
Its buds and
Yeah.
flowers were
god.
oh boy.
Whoa.
Ah.
So there were 6 branches going out of its sides, 3 branches of the lampstand out of its one side, and 3 branches of the lampstand out on its other side. So that's nice. Yes, it was very symmetrical. 3 cups made like almond blossoms in one branch, and a bud and a flower, and 3 cups made like almond blossoms on the other branch, a bud and a flower. So for the 6 branches going out of the lampstand, in the lampstand were 4 cups made like almond blossoms, its bud, and its, didn't we just say this?
I
Its
know.
bud
As
and its
you're reading
flowers.
it, you start to question yourself. You're like, did I just double
No,
back? and
exactly.
read
I'm
the
like,
same
didn't I
thing
read this?
again?
Did I read this? Have I read this?
Like, am I losing my mind?
Yeah, exactly. Made like almond blossoms, its buds and its flowers, and a bud under 2 branches of one piece with it, and a bud under 2 branches of one piece with it, and a bud under 2. What? I literally read the same sentence 3 times. And a bud under 2 branches of one piece with it, for the 6 branches going out of it. Good
Okay, hang on though.
Lord.
It just occurred to me. Think about
What occurred to you?
you're trying to create instructions so that multiple people can recreate this thing, right? I think the implication is that like this is not going to be the only menorah made. Like you may need to make another one. And like you don't have a smartphone in your pocket to just be like make it look like this. You
I guess they're
have
like
to
a bud.
Yes,
a
you
bud,
have to
bud, bud, bud.
painstakingly write out
1,
in
2, 3, 4, 5,
text
6.
the descriptions of these instead of being able to just like draw a picture, I guess.
It's like painting a word picture,
Exactly.
but like a word architectural diagram.
Yeah, it's like a story problem, as we said last time.
Oh, yeah.
It's not, I mean, it's fairly self-explanatory, but he could have just said like ×3 or something, but you know, they didn't do that because they didn't. So
Uh-huh.
there we are. Okay. So the buds and their branches were of one piece with it. The whole thing was of one beaten work of pure gold. What is this beaten work?
Like with a mallet, you
Someone's
gotta
like
beat
beaten.
beat
beaten it.
gold into submission. That's how you shape it, because gold is very soft. It's a very malleable metal, and so it's like
Okay.
I think as opposed to this being something that he like made a mold and poured it into,
right.
that this
Yeah,
he
instead of
actually
taking
like
molten gold and yeah, exactly.
beat the shape
Okay.
into this. Yeah.
He made its 7 lamps and its snuffers, so little snuffies
Yeah, little
for the
snuffies.
Yeah, you know.
snufferoonies.
That was
Yeah.
one of my jobs in church, doing the
Snuffing-
candle
snuffing the
lighting and
menorah?
the snuffing. Not the
Oh.
menorah, but the
Ugh.
other candles.
I remember that
were
in
not
church, yeah, the older
Jewish.
kids were responsible for that, and like the older kids that wanted to show off would like snuff out the candle by just like pinching the wick, you
Ew.
know, and always
Mm.
being so intimidated by that.
Yeah.
Did they lick their fingers before, or were they just like, I like the pain?
I did not ask.
Okay. You were too intimidated by
I
these snuffing
was.
boys.
I was.
Yes, okay. So he made its 7 lamps and its snuffers and its snuff dishes, okay, of pure gold. He made it of a talent of pure gold with all its vessels. Is that a measurement, a
Yes,
unit
we've
of measurement?
also had this conversation before, just so you know. I'm
I feel
sorry.
like we're
I
trapped
got,
in
like,
all of these conversations.
We're trapped in like Bible study purgatory where it's like we're doing the same
That's the
task
thing.
over
I don't
and
know what
over
I've read
again.
and what I haven't, because you tell me this, but you also like, I know that I've read all this before, but I don't know, have I read it before, or am I just going crazy?
It is like a weird biblical gaslight purgatory kind of
Exactly.
realm that we're in right now.
Exactly.
But yes, a
Okay.
talent is a measure of weight, I believe, or of volume. I'm not sure which, but yes.
And Jace, like, to be fair, you like look up so many things And you're just like, yeah, talent is this. And then like we move on. And then I'm like, I don't have time to process it in my head. I have to keep going. And you ask me every time, like, what did we read last time? And I'm like, I don't know. Was it the same thing as the time before? Okay. Anyways, a talent of pure gold with all its vessels. He made the altar of incense of acacia wood. It was square, its length was a cubit, and its breadth a cubit.
In other
Its
words,
height-
a square.
Yes.
Sorry.
Its height was 2 cubits. Its horns, it has horns.
Right, horns instead of feet.
Yes, its horns were of one piece with it. He overlaid it with pure gold, its top, its sides around it, and its horns. He made a gold molding around it. He made 2 golden rings for under its molding crown, on its 2 ribs, on its 2 sides, for places for poles with which to carry it. He made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold. He made the holy anointing oil and the pure incense of sweet spices after the art of the perfumer.
Wait, so this guy's like
The end.
a goldsmith and like a carpenter and then also a perfumer? That's a lot of... He had
Yeah,
to be
that is a
sort
lot
of
of things.
hiring out other people. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
he's definitely outsourcing this stuff, right? He's
Yeah.
got to be.
Yeah, because the other one too, it was like he made all of the temple, which is very much like construction, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, and he made this like beautiful embroidery too. And you're like, wait, what? Like that seems like a very different skill set. I don't
Just
know.
classic. One dude taking credit for everybody else's work.
That's
yeah,
true. I'm
right.
assuming many people were working on this, but it does keep saying he as though there were only one person doing this.
I'm telling you, he's got to just be the manager or the supervisor. He couldn't have
You're
done all
right.
this single-handed.
Nah.
It's like when a director gets credit for making a film, and it's like he
Right.
did this and he did that and he did that, and you leave out that's like, oh, the production designer actually is the one who came up with this idea,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
you know, the set designer and the costume designer and all these things.
Yeah, so the thing is that Hollywood's a lot more biblical than you might believe
Oh,
or expect.
well, there it is.
that's
all
why
right.
Hollywood makes so many biblical movies, because it's, you know,
Oh, that's true.
art imitating life.
I still can't believe that I saw Passion of the Christ.
Why can
And
you
I-
not believe
moving-
it? It was a cultural
It's like-
moment.
Yes, I that is why I saw it, but like I was not a biblical youngster.
Yes,
yet-
but however, it wasn't, I guess, an exciting time because it was a biblical film that was populated by people who were like known celebrities and like big names attached
Jim
to it.
Caviezel.
Yeah, Jim Caviezel and Mel Gibson and,
Mel
and
Gibson.
stuff like that. And so I think for Christians, it was like finally something that wasn't just like made in so and so's basement for no budget with a bunch of volunteers. Like,
Is
so-
that a thing that
oh,
happened?
yeah, that's a whole
There's
thing.
some real low quality Christian content out there.
Lots.
Okay,
lots of
I'll
bad
have to take
stuff.
your word for it.
Yeah.
Oh, you won't
All
have to
right.
take our word for it, because we're going to show some of it to you as we keep going here.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
We ready?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, Exodus 38. I hope this is the last of the recap. If our last 2 chapters of Exodus are recap, I'm going to be very angry. For no good reason, but still very angry. Okay, he made the altar of burnt offering of acacia wood. It was square. Its length was 5 cubits. Its breadth was 5 cubits. And its height was 3 cubits. So in other words, it was square, but it was not a cube because its height was not also.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He made its horns on its 4 corners. Its horns were of one piece with it, and he overlaid it with brass. Oh, we're switching to brass now. Whoa. Okay.
Just to keep things
Oh.
real.
Yeah.
Because we're burning stuff on it. I'll
Yeah,
bet.
you can't burn
Oh.
stuff on gold. I learned that the
Yeah.
hard way.
How
I
did you
didn't
learn
really.
that?
I didn't-
How?
I didn't really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the story here?
I just had all
Did
these
you
images
burn-
of you like covering your high school chemistry lab with like molten gold or something.
No, I just think of like because I remember you were like engaged once, and I'm like, did he like throw his gold engagement ring into the fire?
Like it
when
was
he,
freaking Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Lord of the
To
Rings.
the fires of Mordor. No. Nothing like that.
Okay, I'm gonna keep going. He made all the vessels at the altar, the pots, the shovels, the basins, the flesh hooks, and the fire pans. Flesh hooks, eh? Mm.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like a horror film.
Yeah,
Yum.
he made all its vessels of brass. He made for the altar a grating of a network of brass, under the ledge, around it, beneath, reaching halfway up. He cast 4 rings for the 4 ends of brass grating to be places for the poles. He made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them, also, with brass. He put the poles into the rings on the sides of the altar with which to carry it. He made it hollow with planks. He made the basin of brass and its base of brass out of the mirrors of the ministering women who ministered at the door of the tent of meeting. Now that's a new piece of information, isn't it?
And it's out of the mirror. Okay, so he took the mirrors from these women ministering
So
at the door.
he stole the brass mirrors of these women who were volunteering at the door of the tent of meeting to make the
And
altar.
I guess left them the glass part of the mirror, but took the brass part.
Well, it may have not been glass, it may have been polished brass. Because a lot of ancient mirrors were just like highly polished metal, and it wasn't like
Oh, really?
it wasn't like the same
Huh.
100% true to form like glass mirrors that we're used to today, but it was just like,
Yeah.
a mildly
Okay.
reflective surface.
Okay.
Huh.
Okay, he made the court. For the south side southward, the hangings of the court were of fine twined linen, 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their sockets 20, of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver. For the north side, 100 cubits. Their pillars 20, and their sockets 20, of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. Here we go. For the west side, I feel like I'm out of medieval times right now.
Wait, how?
You mean the
Knights.
medieval?
Don't the knights come from all the different directions? Like from the west and the east and the north and the south?
I have never been to a medieval times.
I've never been to a medieval times either. I just have a friend
Wait,
who works
what?
there, and I've also auditioned for one once.
But
What?
neither of you have been? We need to do a podcast trip to medieval times.
I'm sorry. What could I eat there?
Yeah,
Pretty sure they do vegan stuff. Come on, it's
you could definitely eat
2019.
Oh,
French
Okay.
fries. You could probably eat French fries. Anyway, I'm getting back to this. For the west side were hangings of 50 cubits, their pillars 10, and their sockets 10, the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. For the east side, eastward, 50 cubits. Okay, well, we don't get to hear about the pillars for the east side. What's up with that? Okay. The hangings for the one side were 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3, and so for the other side. On this hand and that hand, by the gate of the court, were hangings of 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. Okay, so this is like the court area outside the tent, like
Yeah.
the kind of courtyard area that we see in all of the imagery depictions. Yes?
Yeah, so there's kind of this
Okay.
big fence thing that we're describing now that's like the 100 cubits long, as opposed to the actual
Yes.
tent of meeting, which was like 40 cubits or
Right,
so.
okay.
Okay.
All the hangings around the court were of fine twined linen. The sockets for the pillars were of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver, and the overlaying of their capitals of silver, and all the pillars of the court were filleted with silver. The screen for the gate of the court was the work of the embroiderer
Embroiderer.
Embroidery.
of blue, purple, scarlet, and fine twined linen. 20 cubits was the length, and the height in the breadth was 5 cubits, like to the hangings of the court. Their pillars were 4, and their sockets 4, of brass, their hooks of silver, and the overlaying of their capitals and their fillets of silver. All the pins of the tent and around the court were of brass. Whew, okay.
Brass everywhere. Lots of brass.
That's a lot of brass, okay.
And gold.
This is the amount of material used for the tent, even the tent of the testimony, as they were counted, according to the commandment of Moses, for the service of the Levites, by the hand of Ithamar, the son of Aaron, the priest. Wow, okay, we're not quite... Okay, I think we finished recap, and now we're going into, like,
Let's
accounting.
see.
I think this is the accounting book. Okay.
Oh yeah, we're gonna like actually get total
Oh.
numbers here.
Yeah, so this
Okay.
is this like the quote that they gave them?
It's totally.
Or is this
Wait,
the
they're
invoice?
gonna like.
Or maybe no, this is the
This is the
invoice.
invoice?
This
Yeah,
is
on
the
the work
invoice,
done.
yeah.
Like first it was like the work order and the recap, and now it's like this is the invoice for the work done. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, now it makes sense why it's in here 3 times.
Okay, great. Okay. I can sleep at night. Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, made all that Yahweh commanded Moses. Okay, the work's been completed. Check. With him was Aholiab, the son
With
of
him, as
Ahisamach.
always, is guard. And very much like Aholiab was like, really? With him
Yes.
was, come on, I made all this stuff.
With him was Aholiab, the son of Ahisamach of the tribe of Dan, an engraver, and a skillful workman, and an embroiderer, in blue, in purple, in scarlet, and in fine linen. All the
So
gold.
those are the only things in which he works, in which he embroiders in,
I specialize in blue, purple, scarlet, and fine linen.
and fine
Yeah,
linen.
exactly.
Exactly.
All the gold that was used for the work, in all the work of the sanctuary, even the gold of the offering, was 29 talents, and 730 shekels after the shekel of the sanctuary. The silver of those who were numbered of the congregation was 100 talents, and 1,775 shekels after the shekel of the
Sanctuary.
after the section. Oh my goodness. I'm losing it. I'm losing it. Okay.
And
After
wait,
the
I'm
shekel-
sorry. 1,775 shekels.
Yes.
And the gold was
After
how
the
many
shekel.
shekels?
Shekel.
730 shekels
Yes.
after the shekel of the
No,
sanctuary.
the gold was 29 talents and 730 shekels. Yes.
Yeah. Wait, are those...
Okay.
Is a shekel a measure of weight
No,
then,
this says
too?
the silver was 100 talents.
Yes. Wait. Okay, no. I was about to read that. The 100 talents of
Oh.
silver were for casting the sockets of the sanctuary and the sockets of the veil, 100 sockets for the 100 talents, a talent for a socket. Of the 1,775 shekels, he made hooks for the pillars, overlaid their capitals, and made fillets for them. The brass of
Wait,
the
you skipped
offering.
some.
What?
This is totally an invoice.
It is. It is.
You did.
Okay.
But wait, you skipped some. You skipped 26. A Becca
Okay.
ahead, that
20.
is.
Okay,
Oh,
I'll go
yeah.
back to 25. The silver of those who were numbered of the congregation was 100 talents and 1,775 shekels after the shekel of the sanctuary. A becca ahead, that is, half a shekel, after the shekel of the sanctuary, for everyone who passed over to those who were numbered, from 20 years old and upward, for 603,550 men. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
The 100 talents of silver were for casting the sockets of the sanctuary and the sockets of the veil, 100 sockets for the 100 talents, a talent for a socket. Of the 1,775 shekels, he made hooks for the pillars, overlaid their capitals, and made fillets for them. The brass of the offering was 70 talents and 2,400 shekels. With this, he made the sockets to the door of the tent of meeting, the brazen altar, the brazen grating for it, all the
Brazen.
vessels of the altar, the
Brazen.
sockets around the court, the sockets of the gate of the court, all the pins of the tent, and all the pins around the court. And now who signs this? Does Yahweh sign off on it? Does Moses sign off on it? Who signs this invoice?
Yahweh's like, Moses has to pay for it, but I'll sign it. No problem. We're good.
Please bill to Moses. Wow. Y'all, we made it through that amazingly, somehow, impossibly.
I like your analogy earlier of like relief work or something. And the way that this is like they got all the stuff given to them in advance, right? And they were like, we have enough. We have too much, actually. Please stop giving us stuff. And then they built the thing, and now it's like,
And now you have to pay for it.
well, no, like now, like how nonprofits have to disclose all of their financials. It's like that. This is the disclosure of like, here's how we used all your donations. This is how much went toward each thing.
Interesting.
See, what it
That's an
reminds me
interesting
of
point.
is here in Singapore, there's a building. I don't remember the actual name of the building, but it's affectionately called Gotham Tower because it looks like Gotham Tower.
Really?
And the inside of it is just like, okay, so the rumor that I heard is that this tower was built possibly as a money laundering scheme. Basically, like someone had a
Wow.
bunch of money that they threw into this tower and like they just needed to get rid of the money. And so they threw it
A
into this
bunch of money.
tower because it's like when you go inside, it's like ridiculously opulent and like all
Huh.
very like Art Deco 20s, like everything gold leaf and like curlicues and chandeliers and just like ridiculous opulence. And it makes me think of that. Like they received so much and they're like, well, we got to use it. So I guess all our sockets are going to be made of silver and everything's going to be covered in gold. We got gold for days. We just got to get rid of this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
That's what it makes me
I
think of.
suppose that is what happened. Yeah. I really am interested to hear what happens next. And like you, I hope that perhaps it's going to be like a little bit more than just another recap.
I hope
Well,
so.
okay, so let's make this interesting. So next week we're reading just 2 chapters. This is the last 2 chapters of this book.
Yeah. Wow.
Would you bet anything on whether or not it will be more recap of building stuff?
What would I
How-
bet?
I don't know. It could be, you'll
A talent of gold.
you'll buy us all drinks next time, or
I'd be happy to do that, but I'd almost, I feel like there's going to be at least a bit of recap for sure.
Yeah, that seems. I don't think we're going to escape 100% the recap.
No.
I see.
No.
So
You
you're
can't
both
resist.
you're both in camp recap.
Yes, yeah. So
Yeah,
if you're going
I
to
am
bet
too.
against
That's
us,
no, that's the problem.
Dang
I am
it.
too. I am too. I'm pretty sure this is just going to be recap all the way through. I don't know.
Yeah, which is too bad. Like, I mean, it was really action-packed for a while, like super action-packed, and now? No.
Yeah, you're right. It did kind of lose some steam after they kind of got to safety and got established again. It's like, I mean, I guess some crazy stuff happened with the golden calf, but it was kind of in between a lot of laws and rules and less action,
etc.
Yeah.
So are all of us going to buy each other drinks, or are we going to be a sober episode next time? Find out next week on Drunk Bible Study.
thank you for joining us for Bible study today. If you want even more Drunk Bible Study, including bonus episodes, new series, guest interviews, and more, become one of our patrons at patreon.com/drunkbiblestudy. If you enjoy the show, take a moment to subscribe and then write us a nice review on iTunes or Stitcher, letting other people know what you like about it. Find us on Twitter at Drunk Biblecast, on Instagram at Drunk Bible Study, or send us an email to info@drunkbiblestudy.com. Drunk Bible Study is created and produced by Emily Matlack, Jace Lindgren, and me, Dedeker Winston. Our theme song is Book Club by Josh and Anand from their album Home of the. The theme song for the Book of Exodus is Our Story Begins by Kevin MacLeod. For more information, visit us at drunkbiblestudy.com.